क्या तो कुछ अलग जगह में लोग खाने के लिए स्टार्ट करो सर। Good morning to everybody. Now today the course is MMPH 004. There is your industrial and your employment relations. So as usual, I'm Biswas, academic counselor of IGNU. So today, first we have to give some overview of all the blocks. Then you have to start, we have to discuss about the block number 1. First, let's see the structure of the courses. There are basically 4 blocks. The first block is industrial and employment relations and overview, and where the unit number 1 is the concept and the approaches. Then number 2 is your evaluations, and unit number 3 is your constitutions, ILO and legal frameworks, and your unit number 4 is your labor administration in India, and unit number 5 is your global trends. That is all are including in the block number 1. And block number 2 is your trade union, where there are another 4 units. Unit number 6, 7, 8, 9. Unit number 6 is the development and the functions of trade unions. Unit number 7 is trade union structure, leadership and the recognitions. Unit number 8 is your managerial unionisms. Unit number 9 is your employment relations and the non-union parts. And unit number block 3 is the collective bargaining. And unit number 10, 11, 12, that is your collective bargaining structure, process and arguments and agreements. Unit number 12 is your negotiations. Then block number 4 is your grievance, discipline and conflict resolution. Unit number 13 is your grievance handling. Unit number 14 is your discipline in organizations. Unit number 15 is your industrial conflict. So this is the total unit number. Total unit is 15 in all the blocks, combining all the blocks. And now we have to concentrate on block number 1. So block number one, unit number one. Okay. So let clear the concept and what are the approaches are there. So concept and the nature of the industrial and the employment relations, that is things are contains actors in the industrial relations and definition of the industrial relations, need and the significance of the industrial and the employment relations, which are the topics we have to discuss. We can say it is a subunit or in the subchapters, approaches to industrial relations, then the factors affecting the employee employment relation. What are the factors are there to basically the deteriorating the relations, and or other way we can say what are the factors to be identified for better relationships, issues and challenges for the industrial and your employment relations. That part also very major things. What are the challenges are there? Now, within the unit two, that we have to see that industrial relations, the pre-impedance era and the post-impedance era, which have done, which are the things has happened. And then five-year plans, that is physically the pre-liberalization era. And again, after the 5 years, that is the post-liberalization era. So there are two things. Now it is clear from the unit number two, where it has been discussed about before impedance, what are the relations for their industrial relation systems, and after the interdependence, what are the relations, what are the industrial relations which we have enjoying, that things are there. Similarly, the plans, what are the plans are there. So before pre-liberalization and the 5 years before and after. So now, on unit number three, there's a lot of things we have to know as per the constitution in our Indian constitutions, which are already laid down, and as per the international ILO, as per the ILO, International Labour Organizations, which the things are there, and some of the legal framework. What are the framework? That part is there. It's totally basically what are the rule and regulations, policies are there. Where do we have to see the objectives basically of the liberalizations, legislations, and comprehended and the fundamental rights and the directives, principles as basis of the labor legislations. That part we have to see. Then develop the insights into the role of ILO on the industrial relations in India. What are the role of India? That is also there. And see an overview of the labor codes. Then in number four, where the constitutional provisions that we have to see. And then your labor administration's machineries, and then your Ministry of Labor and Employment, and labor administrative state, different state, what are the labor administrations, unorganized sector in the workers. Nowadays it is important because in our India a lot of unorganized sectors are there, and that workers for them, for the welfare of for them, what are the steps are has been taken, or what are the steps are likely to be taken. So all these things are to see. Then unit number five is your global trends, that is trade unionism, collective bargaining, workers' participation in management, then the social security. These all are part of the global trends. Now, coming to you can state come to the unit one. Because workers have been the most important element for ensuring the production and the productivity of the organizations. Here actually it has been emphasized that how the important workers are there in the organizations. Because you see there are a lot of competitions are there. So to cope up this competitiveness and also the technical advancements and moreover the customer satisfactions, have made the workforce of an organization a source of competitive advantage. The outcomes of the board relations manifest in the form of the increased labor turnover. And that is also another part because a lot of employees are joining, and within a 6 month or 1 year again they leave the organizations and uh, change their services in other companies. So that turnover has to be, it has been increased nowadays. So that's why we have to find out where the lack of, where the lagging are there, that part is there. Then absenteeism is another issue because a lot of absenteeisms are there, that part. Indiscipline, the employees are not disciplined, they are not following the policies. Then poor quality of output, another issues. Increased cost of production because the production cost is now increasing among the others. So all these aspects are very important. So poor relations between the management and the workers may result in industrial upset, unrest, which affects the economic growth of the nations. So relationships are very important because profitability, if we keep on view on the profitability of the organizations, so definitely have to improve our relations, employee relations, etc. So maintaining the cordial relations between the management and the workers, so it is a paramount important anywhere in the world. So several changes in the recent year that we have seen. It is now a responsibility for everybody to being paid to the employment relations within the organizations. Competitiveness has increased due to the which the firms need to enhance their quality of the good and the services, and simultaneously to reduce the cost of the productions and to be able to offer the best quality productions at the competitive price. So there are three things are very important from the customer point of view. Your quality should be good, your service should be good, and the cost should be acceptable cost. I mean the marketable price here, so that we can approach and should be there. So competitive price is very important. Where also you cannot neglect or cannot compromise with the quality also, and your services also is very important. So the quality of the workforce and the training have become a critical factors. How to achieve? Suppose if the question has come, how to achieve all these things? What are the, obviously you can see it is a problem which we have discussed now, all the issues. Now to cope up the situations, so definitely we need some training based program so that the quality can be improved, the workforce quality can be improved, and become a critical factor. There is a need for the multi-skilled, easily trainable employees. So multi-skilled, that's why this word is coming, multi-skilled is required. Technology has been another important factor that has the shift to attention to the workforce relations. Modern technology now makes it possible for aspect of the and apart from the outside of the organization also. Because the modern technology you have to adapt so that we can train the people, those who are in the remotely work, or if they are in the field site, they can also skill through this program. And even the outside national borders, part-time work is increasing, particularly due to the influx of the more females into the employment and their preference in some cases for part-time workers. So all these three aspects are there. Different approaches, concepts are there. So industrial relations deals with the worker and employee, worker and employee relations in any industry. So industrial relations in a country are affected by the various factors, which are concept and the approaches, prominent being the political ideologies. What are the factors are there? Number one, there is the political ideologies, economic factors, strength of the trade unions, awareness level of the workers, and the management body. So all these points are basically the affected factors. Industrial relations functions with the objectives to the bringing the equality and the equity between the two parties, workers and the management. Industrial relations is a multidisciplinary in approach. Industrial relations integrates the concept of economics as it involves the issues related to wages, benefits, and your social security measures. In today's network, world changes even in the upheavals in one country have the significant implements for the industrial relation as well. And even in the war, due to war also it is affected. Industrial relations functions with the object to the bringing equality and the equity between the two parties, workers and the management. International labor organizations have an important impact upon the over the related issues. So that is also things the ILO some guidelines are there. Then another thing is your industrial and the employment relations as a three factors. There are three factors we are considering it: the workers and their organizations, and your employers and their organizations, and the state-wise. There are three state. There are three actors are there. When acting part, they are leading part. First thing is the workers and their organizations. So where the characteristics of the workers, their educational levels, their awareness levels, the level of the skill they have acquired, poverty levels, then migrating nature's background also, cultural characteristics also. We have to see different culture. As we know, our country is very diversified country. Culture is also different cultural diversities there. So we have to very much aware of the attitudes of also culture, rituals, all these things. All this play important role in industrial relations. Since the individual worker is weak and his or her voice may be heard by the management, therefore they often associate to form the organizations. Because industrial workers is weak, basically. And their voice are not heard by the management. It is most of the cases it has seen. So that's why the association they have to associate and the forming of the organizations and keep them strength that way. Such associations are trade unions or any party or whatever the things are generally known as a trade union. Basically, any associations when they're some of the employees or workers are gathered, they have some discuss somewhere, they are exchange their views and all these things. So that associations are slowly in the form of a trade unions. So which may or may not have a political leverage. At times, some of the associations are or trade unions are affiliated by the political parties, but sometimes they are not in political parties. It is not there. Then employers and their organizations. Earlier we have discussed about the employees. Now employers. The employers are important actors in industrial relations. They create employment and provide the remunerations to the workers in return for their labor. So what are the remunerations they are paying? In terms, they are taking the job also. I mean, the works from the workers. So, what are in terms of labor, in terms of work, they take, and in turn they are paying this money. So, they regulate the work of the employees so as to achieve maximum productivity. Now, as an employer, the role is basically you have to regulate your workers in such a way so that they can give a optimum, the maximum productivity through these their optimum utilizations. So their objective is to generate the profit at minimum cost. So that is the view of the employer of the organizations. To pressurize the management to accept their demands, workers often resort to pressure tactics like strikes, zero, then printing, etc. Um, Slowdown, all these things, which results into industrial unrest. So, in these things are disturbing some of the unrest conditions in the industries. So, to strengthen themselves and increase their bargaining power, employers also organize into associations. So, as the employer organizations, because worker to worker discussions or it is may not be possible. That's why what are the association are there? They should be strengthening so that and the power should be strengthened so that they can negotiate, they can bargain with the employers, and some uh, good output, good result or solutions cannot come out. At the state levels, since the maintaining the harmonious employer and the worker relations is important for the growth of the economy or of the nations. So therefore, the state makes active efforts to create a healthy work environment. So governments, in the case of states or nations wise, so their focus should be in any organizations where the employer and the employee, the relations should be good. There should be enough patch up or enough they can perform their work in a very smooth way. So that's why the government role becomes important as it frames the policies, regulations, and legislation for the maintaining the healthy employer-employee relations so that productivity remains high. So this is the one of the issues when if the government rules are um, towards the policy. So means government has to be very much careful about the when they are framing out the any policies, regulations, and the legislations that where the maintaining the health and the good relations to be achieved. So that should be focused on this, so that the productivity remain high. The state also creates a platform for the bringing together the representatives of the employer, worker, and the state for the discussions pertaining to labor policy issues. So this is another thing. The state has to create such a platform where they can sit there, employee and employer and the worker can sit together and then have some discussions, and definitely that discussions are to be towards the achievement of the good things. And that times what are the policies are there, if any issues that can discuss, any if something is beneficial, definitely has to be put up the proposals, and that should be approved. Now your some of the concept of your some of the approach. Now state another thing is there. It should be also intervenes in when the conflicts between conflicts cannot be resolved by the between the management and the trade unions through mutual negotiations. When that type of situations occur, then definitely the government or state should be intervened and give us some solutions. State also the intervenes in the regulating the wages, bonus, and working conditions through various laws relating to labor. The state that means if we summarize the things, what is the role of a state or the nations, then we can see that state is an important actor in the industrial relations, especially in our India. Though any state in the sense of the state governments, labor code, labor laws, labor ministers, all these things, just in one word we are saying is a state. So in this case, so that as an important actor, as a important actor, where the power and the employers also organize into the associations, and it creates that IR. In short, industrial relations normally we are abbreviate the IR. It creates a system of the interactions between the workers and the management in the industry. IR may be described as a study of institutions of the job regulations, as a Flanders 1970 has described it. Industrial relations is concerned with the bargaining and explicit and the implicit between the among the among employers and employees over the making of the rules of work and with the factors that affect the body. Other way we can also discuss that is a IR is a study of all aspects of the job regulations and making and administrating of the rules which regulate the employment relationships regardless of whether they are seen as formal or informal or structured or unstructured, whatever the way. It can be, or otherwise it can be simply defined as the management of labor problems in an industrial society, more operationally, as the theories, techniques, and institutions for the resolution of the condemning money and the power claims in an employment relationships. Now, we have to discuss about the objectives of the industrials and the employment relations. What are the objectives? The primary objectives of the industrial relations is to bring about the good and healthy relations between the labor and management so as to enhance productivity for economic growth of the nation. Other objectives are derived from these main objectives, that is in the divides in objectives into four. There are four categories. There is improving the economic conditions of the workers. That is one objective. So, because if we not improve their economic conditions of the workers, they cannot work happily in the organizations, and their productivity definitely it will be goes down. Regulate of the productions, regulate of productions by the state, nationalizations of industries by making the state and employers. Then regulate of the productions by the state, nationalizations of the industries by the making the state of the employers. There are so many theories are there. I just give some glimpse some of the areas. Another objective is to safeguard the interest of the labor and the management, securing mutual understanding and the harmony between the different players in the industry. Here another aspect is there, because in any industry there may be 2 or 3 trade unions are there. So there also should be, as a function, should be cordially they can act it towards the objectives of the company and the organization, so that if the company or the organization is growing, so in turn it will be benefited for the workers also. So that's why their objectives should be also towards the industry's objectives. So to avoid the industrial conflicts and the disputes, so we require to enhance the efficiency, because how to deal with the conflicts, grievances, how to handle all these grievances is very prime requirement and necessary also to enhance the efficiency. Another object is to maximize the productivity for the growth of the nations. That also we have to see. And also definitely maintain the industrial discipline. Otherwise, you cannot achieve anything. And to establish and maintain the industrial democracy by ensuring the workers' participation in the management. So when these workers are participating in the management levels, they are also feel as a part of they are also feel their belongings of the company, and they are happily can participate and raise their voice also. So that is very important so that we can establish a industrial democracy to reduce the conflict and to maintain the industrial peace. How we can make a peace? By bringing down the strikes, lockouts. If we bring down the strikes, lockouts, so definitely we can maintain the peace also. So definitely both the parties, I mean the unions and the management should sit together and they should find out some of the way outs, how and the best solutions to be adopted. Another things are ensuring the fair and reasonable wages to the workers to improve their standard of living because human nature, some demands are there, some design is also there to fulfill it. Not only his family's purpose also. So should be ensured that reasonable wages should be there to the workers so that they can improve their standard lives. Health is another issue in evolving a healthy social order. It should be a hygienic, some medical point of view. That type of facility should be there. Promotion and development of the health labor management relations. That is nowadays it is a very important. Most of the organizations and the company are think over it, and they are already regulated and already they are adopted a lot of programs. So health is another issues where we can keep the productivity more. Now, question is, what is the significance? What are the significance of the industrial and the employee relations? The most important benefits of the industrial relations is that ensure the continuity of the productions and also the resources can be fully utilized. There are two things: continuity of the productions and resources can be fully utilized, resulting in the maximum possible productions. So that is one of the significance. Another significance is it reduces the industrial disputes. Suppose the questions are coming, describe what are the significance of the industrial relations. So that time first you have to write the benefits because continuity of the production will be there and resources we can utilize. It's a maximum possibility of production. Number two, we can reduce the industrial disputes, strikes, lockouts, and grievances, some of the reflections of the industrial unrest, which do not spring off in an atmosphere, or the industrial peace can be maintained. Good industrial relations improve the morale of the employers. Morale of the employees, if the relations is good, then definitely morale of the employees. As a result, the productivity can be enhanced. Wages of the man and then the material and the machines and can reduce to minimum. So we can utilization of the will be good. So literature has the one of these things are explore the industrial relations impact on the organizational performance, especially on the productivity dimensions. And here I can say some of the more recent studies state that performance is determined by IR practices, industrial relation practices. And this study examines the impact of the industrial relations strategies on the organizational productivity and performance. There are two areas their studies has done, and it has been found out. It has been found that the IR is a very significant role appears. The effect of the trade unions, grievances, and your collective bargaining and your participative management and the performance are tested. A lot of areas have been tested, and they have declared that IR industrial relations are very important. So, on the basis of orientations, on the different practitioners, different approaches have been developed to explain the concept of the industrial relations. Some of the important approaches I'm just trying to tell you. One of the approaches is systems approach, and two is your unitary approach, then pluralistic approach, Marxist approach, the social action approach, human relations approach, Mahatma Gandhi's trusteeship approach. Mahatma Gandhi's trusteeship approach, and another is socialistic approach. So mines and the model management of RINL performance are tested here. This is all the list of approaches. So this I discuss like the Dunlop's. We can see the Dunlop system approach. That is system approach of industrial relations was developed by the John Dunlop in 1958. He has developed this. That's why the name is Dunlop's approach, system approach. In fact, the Dunlop is regarded as a father of industrial relations. He proposed that industrial relations system is a separate subsystems of society. There are three components of these subsystems. The interactions and the interrelationships of the three components of this subsystem constitute industrial relations. The three components are derived here. That is your management, that is comprising the managers, workers, that we can say is the informal or formal organizations, state, that is your government bodies or organizations concerned with the relationships between the workers and their organizations. Unitary approach, that is perceives organizations as an integrated system working in harmony, where there is everything are related and integrated. All the members of the organizations share the same objectives, interests, and purposes, working together, working towards the common goals. Such an organization strives jointly towards the common objectives, each contributing to the best of the ability. Now, pluralistic perspectives, where it has been known as the Oxford approach, views in the society as containing the multiple but related interests which must be maintained in the equilibrium. So on the same lines, organizations is perceived as being the made of significant and the divergent subgroups, namely the management and the trade unions, we can say, where the subgroups are there. Then Marxist approach is basically, this approach is based on the ideology of Karl Marx. What are the Karl Marx as the their ideology is there, also known as, we can say, the radical perspectives. The Marxist approach is based on the propositions that the economic activities of the productions, manufacturing and distributions are majorly governed by the objectives of the profit, based on the profit. Hence, it is distributed to equally distribute whatever the profit is. Their approaches are like this. The Marxist questions the power relationships of the society. The theory is based on the premise that industrial relations represent class conflict and is more or market relations. Now, social action approach. It is a modification of the system approach. In the system approach, external environment plays a dominant role, while the actors such as employers, employees, and their representatives play a passive role in the process. So this is another approaches. Human relations approaches. It is the human relations school that is founded by the Elton Meyer, and the later it is propagated by the Barger, Whitehead, then your W.F. Whitey, and Homans offers a comprehensive view of the nature of the industrial conflict and the harmony. This is the way it is now going now. The another things approaches are Mahatma Gandhi's trusteeship approach. Trust. Mahatma Gandhi has applied the principle of trusteeship to industrial relations. Employers should not consider themselves as a sole owners of the enterprises, though they may be the legal owners. They should regard themselves only as a trustee or the co-owners. He laid down certain conditions for a state strike. The cause of the strike must be just, and that this only redressals. Workers should try all the peaceful and the constitutional methods of the negotiations. Then strikes should not be restored to unless all efforts for the peaceful negotiations are exhausted. Strikes should be peaceful and non-violent. Then your other approaches are socialistic approach. Is an important factor in the development and the perfection of the socialist democracy. This ensures the fullest decentralizations and the participation in management as a multidimensional program for the socialist constructions. The economic reconstructions is based upon the nationalizations of the means of the productions and their exchanges. Now we have to discuss some of the factors. What are the factors or affect the employment your relations? So internal factors, these are factors within the organizations. These pertain to management and the workers and the trade unions within these things. Then the management related factors, where the attitudes of the management towards the workers and the trade unions. Then your management believe in the industrial democracy, concern of the management for the worker welfare, the style of leadership, that is basically your autocratic or the participative, etc. Then you see the concern of the management for the worker welfare style of leaderships. Then your effectiveness and the capacity and the capability of the managers and the supervisors in resolving the grievances and handling the disputes, then your management concerns for the worker welfare, etc., and clarity of the management policies related to work and workers. Then workers related factors, that is the human attitudes towards the management, that is one of the factors. Then internal union rivalries. In case of more than one union, then rivals, to see what are the rivals is, the readiness of the workers to work, their mindset, union leaderships, all this, the readiness to comply the policies, bargaining power of trade unions, all are the factors. External factors, that is the influence of the political parties on the trade unions, that have mostly it is happening in our industries, in the Indian industries. Lot of examples are there. Economic factors, this for example the inflations, then your economic downstreams, success of the collective bargaining at the national levels and the local and our plant levels, state interventions, labor laws of the nations, regulations, regulatory frameworks, then your effectiveness of the dispute settlement machineries, employment situations nationally or the local level, legal framework within the and your industrial relation, what are the exist. External factors, influences of the political parties, of the trade unions, the economic factors, then all these things are there. Then employment relations of the nationally or the local level, legal frameworks within these are that we are probably discussing. Now the issues and the challenges. So there are various issues and the challenges for the industrial and the employment relations in India. We have seen economic reforms have to change the business environment in various ways. There have been a number of changes in regulatory environment, then aspirations of the workers, then your expectations of the employers. Big farms are downsizing, their operations are mostly cutting and using the constructing and the subcontracting to bring down the cost. So that is one of the big issues. The issues are going on, how to cost curtail. Multi-skilled workers are required in the modern day farms because only one skills may not be sufficient. You have to have a multi-skilled capacity. Then another thing is labor issues is increasing now through the international bodies. Because you see the WTO, then ILO, IMF, the management cannot ignore the demand and the concern of such forces because that type of forces are impending and competitive natures. Then evolution of the industrial relations, now we have to discuss about some of the evolution part. In India can be broadly divided into two phases, as we have seen the pre-independence and another is the post-independence independence. Industrial relations in the pre-independence India can be further divided into two phases. The first phase is beginning of the 19th century up to the First World War, because before, so that's the two phases. First World War up to the First World War, that is one phase, and second phase were beginning from the end of the First World War and attaining of the independence up to the 1947. So pre-independence era were divided again into two phases. So during the early years of the British rule in India, there was really little industrial activity in the country. The policies of the British government discouraged the development of industry in India, though they have keen interest in the export of raw materials from India. Most of the cases, they are exporting the materials into their countries and they have started their manufacturing there itself. So raw material are from the India. The first instance of the industrial unrest and the workers' stoppage came into force in 1877. That is your first the waivers of the Empress Mills, Nagpur. The first Factory Act in India was passed in 1881. In 1881, the first Factory Act has been developed or that was passed. It required the factories having 100 or more workers to provide the certain minimum conditions for workers employed in their establishment. If it is a more than 100 or more than workers, then definitely there should be some of the minimum conditions should be fulfilled. In 1890, the first labor associations, this is the Bombay Mill Hands Association, was established. But during this period, workers did not have much awareness about the power of their joint actions. Just simply by the virtue of their interest of the British, they have a massive association they have established. The industrial system expanded in the country after the First World War. Basically, after the First World War, that all these things are and start expanding. The Russian revolutions in the year 1918 and the formation of the International Labour Organizations ILO in the year 1990. So 1990, the ILO has been formed internationally. Then slowly it has geared up. I mean, the industrializations, the policies basically, it is geared up. So labor legislations and the government's policy towards the industrial relations are slowly evolving. Now, after that, we know by the history that is the labor movement in the country started. Labor movement. Royal Commission of Labor was appointed in 1928 to inquire into the report on the existing conditions of the workers in industry and the plantations. Where the plant is theirs. So World War Second, World War II, the Second World War had a deep impact on industrial relations in India. It resulted into rise in inflations, the fall in wages, which increase in the cost of living, and working conditions in the industry deteriorated. So all these happenings has after the Second War. The condition of workers became poor, and there was the increasing labor unrest. Industry was making profit. Workers demanded bonus, but their demand was not accepted. Then the post-independence steps were taken for large-scale industrializations. The nation with a twin objectives to become a self-resilient and to provide the employment to the people. There are two aspects of this. The provision of the Indian constitutions provided a framework for establishing a workers' rights. So what are the worker rights? That has been framed in our constitutions. So relation in India, it is resulted into rise of the inflation, fall in the wages. So now, first 5-year plan, industrial trust resolutions was adopted in the industrial conference in the December 1947. Some resolutions has been passed. So according to these resolutions, both the employers and the workers refrain from strikes, lockouts, and other such tactics. The machinery for the determinations of the norms and the standards governing mutual relations between the employers and the employees and the settlement of the industrial disputes was visualized when after the December 1947. So second 5-year plan, that is 1956 to 1961, the Code of Discipline was adopted in 1958 in the tripartite labor conference attended by the representatives of employers, workers, and the government. This was a significant step towards the establishing the harmonious relations between the workers and the employers. So during the second 5-year plan, the significance of the workers' participation in management was recognized, and method of worker participation in management were evolved. Joint management councils were also established on the experimental basis. The third 5-year plan, that is 1961 to 1966, the third plan re-emphasized and to see what are the importance of the code of discipline and also the joint consultative machineries where the representatives of the government employees and the employers participate. All these things are formulated. Joint management committee set up in the several establishments during the second 5-year plan, and it is reaped the positive results. And it was successful in the bringing about the mutual negotiations between the employers and the workers. So fourth 5-year plan, evaluation the labor policy in the 5-year plan was evolved. Some reference to basic concepts. Now I'm trying to say you some of the basic two concepts. One concept is that is your relationship between the workers and the employers is one of the partnerships. Number two, employees and under the obligation to protect the well-living of the employees. A greater emphasis was placed on the collective bargaining. So this is the way it is. All these things are formulated. Now I have to discuss some of the type of questions are normally coming the exam point of view. It may come. Question may come. Your discuss the current development in the industrial relations in India. Discuss the influence of the theories and the models of the industrial relations practices. So this type of questions may come. That time you have to discuss some of your current development in the industrial relations in India, and you have to give some background also. What are the influences are there? That also you have to discuss. Now question may come like this. What is the concept and the scope of industrial relations? It may be a 5-number questions or 10-number questions. Discuss the question may come around, discuss the Dunlop's approach to the industrial relations. This type of questions may come. And again, you have to say some of their concept and the scope of this. What are the Dunlop approaches? Then question may come in the area of your explain the meaning of industrial relations. That type of questions may come. Then your questions, this is the area also you can say questions can come like this. Discuss the various approaches of the industrial relations and their relevance. What I am saying now, it is all are settled questions. Sometimes it does come. Then different approaches, there are Marxist approaches, then Weber approaches, human relations approaches, Gandhian approaches, then human resource management approaches. All these different type of approaches. It may come as a short note, it may come in a broad questions also. And objectives, question may come in the area, your outline the objectives of the industrial relations, then you have to give some outlines also. Then describe and the scope of concept and scope of the industrial relations. So this is the type of questions normally are coming as a short note or it may be a long. And short note may come like this way. It can come the equity and fairness in employment relations. That type of questions may come. Then your question may come around the outline the current development in field of industrial relations and what are the challenges, issues. This type of questions may come in the exam. Then your brief account of industrial relations in India, discuss the current development. So this is the way I think the type of the block one normally are containing in this type of questions. Another questions may come briefly explain the major perspectives that are dominating the industrial relations scenario since 1991. What are the dominating factors? That is also we have to discuss. What are the provisions? What type of provisions are under the industrial disputes and the settlement of the industrial disputes? That is, you discuss it. What type of consolations? So this is the way I can say this type of questions may come in the exam, and student has to prepare accordingly. Follow the last 4-5 years question paper also downloaded. And ILO, a question may come also, write a short note on the impact of ILO, industrial labor organizations, on industrial relations in India. This type of questions also can come. I mean, other way, the role of Indian constitutions in evolving your labor policy, identify the impact of the ILO on industrial relations. This type of questions can come like this. So I hope I have completed the block one, most of the questions. So, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
लाइट्स आप लोग लाइट्स बंद कर दो चलाई नहीं लाइट कोई बात नहीं लाइट तो है चल जाएगा कंसेप्ट लाइट आ रहा है तो वीडियो से पता चलेगा सर नमस्कार, मेरे पास कुछ आपका रखा हुआ है, लेना पहले जाते समय कुछ